Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of XtalknIsh with your boy X. And unfortunately, we don't have Ish with us today, but the show, of course, will always and must go on. So, for my boy Ish, I hope he will be back and join us on Tuesday to recap week 13. But in the meantime, between time, we are going to go ahead and, of course, preview week 13 with just you and I. So, we'll do this show together this morning. As always, if you are on our Facebook page, please go ahead and like our Facebook page. And as well, if you are on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red notification subscribe button to subscribe to our show, and as well hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future. And as well, if you are on Twitter, please go ahead and check us out on Periscope at X Talking Ish, and as well check us out on my personal page at X_Williams81. I'm going to go ahead and retweet this show right now as well, so y'all can tune in on Periscope. All righty, then y'all know what time it is. It is week 13 preview show. I say it almost every week from week one how fast this NFL season goes by, and I don't have to keep on saying it because we're here. We are first week of December. I pretty much constitute this is real football time now. And once you get past Thanksgiving, we get into December football. The teams that are supposed to be moving away from the pack are supposed to be doing those things. Um, and for those teams that are on the bubble in regards of either trying to make the playoffs or either trying to lose more games so they can get better draft stock for this upcoming season, those things are still, of course, in play as well too. Let's get to the comments section before, of course, we get started on these games. And of course, as always, our boy Fresh One that says good morning to all the Wolverines. Let's get it. And of course, if you didn't watch last night, you should know that the Michigan Wolverines will definitely be in the college football playoffs this upcoming season. The other two spots, we just don't know yet. So we'll figure that out this upcoming week when they announce those. But we'll get back on that on another day. We are here, of course, to talk about NFL football. We'll get into the first game of our slate, the Steelers versus the Falcons. Now, some of these games we're going to run through. Not the sexiest of games. This isn't one of them. You know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago for both of these teams, this might have been a better game, but it's one of those games where most people are probably just gonna, flip through the channel on this one. Um, at the moment, Ish and I are split. This is a 1 point away team favorite type of game. This game is what you call a pick 'em. I think it could go either way. I'm hoping Mike Tomlin doesn't have a losing record at the end of the season, but it's just trending towards that way. I picked the Falcons just due to just their overall presence this whole NFL season, being able to beat teams they're not supposed to, losing the teams they're not supposed to, just being the Falcons that I expected them to be this upcoming season. They would have exceeded expectations in my eyes if they were to make the playoffs this season. I just expected them to be a disruptor, a team that's going to come in there and again beat teams they're not supposed to. Um, Learn. I mean, this is really their first year to really learn amongst each other and figure things out. So I think that's going to do well for them moving forward, especially once they start getting the right pieces in there to really make this team a contender in the NFC South. If Fisher's here, we would both pretty much be in the agreement of the NFC South is going to be looking a lot different the next year or two. I mean, hopefully, if Brady retires, like he says that he's going to retire, which technically he hasn't said that yet. The Buccaneers could be rebuilding, right? The Saints are in rebuild mode at the moment. The Panthers are in a whole different rebuild mode right now. So I mean, for the Falcons, they have an opportunity if they're able to steady the ship for the next year or two. Why not the Falcons, right? Why not the Falcons be able to take over that division? That division for 15 years now has been a division that you go from last to first, last to first. I mean, that division has done that multiple times before, and also that's a division where all four of those teams have done something. I mean, all four of those teams have been to at least been to a Super Bowl. Not everybody has won one, but at least every team in that division has been to a Super Bowl. And you really never know what's going on with that division. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward with the way that the Falcons play out, and then also as well with the Steelers. They are it's definitely not like the NFC South with what the Steelers are having to deal with. I mean, right now you're looking at least two teams looking up. At least with the Bengals and the Ravens. The Browns, of course, we have Deshaun Watson coming back from his suspension today. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Some people would think that the Browns are a better team than the Steelers. So at the moment, I mean, the Steelers are in a position that they haven't been in a very, very long time on the bottom looking up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that organization and what they do moving forward, how they're able to address certain needs, and also with Kenny Pickett. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not the guy. I just don't think he's performed this season the way that I think also the Steelers would have hoped that he performed, even though he's just a rookie. You know, I just think that they expected a little more from Kenny Pickett. That's all. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Packers and the Bears. This is an interesting matchup just due to everything that's coming into this game, mainly with the Aaron Rodgers situation in regards of, are they going to shut him down? Are they going to let Jordan Love play? A lot of questions still remain on the Packers side. The Packers are 4-8 at the moment. The Bears are 3-9. Both of these teams are playing for next season. This season is over with for them. The Vikings will win the NFC North. It is over with. I'm picking the Bears mainly just due to the upset of. I think the Bears can pull off the upset. I understand again. Justin Fields is still battling his injury, and even though he has practiced this week and he should be able to play, I'm hoping that he's not limited to his injuries. Fresh Wanda says it's an easy dub for the Bay if Justin doesn't play. Again, that's if he doesn't play, but it's trending, and I'm looking into it right now. It's trending that he should be able to play, but also with backup quarterback Trevor Siemian injuring his oblique last week before the game even started. How you hurt yourself in pregame? I don't understand that. But anyways, that might force Justin Fields to have to go out and play over Trevor Siemian. So with it being at home, with the way that Aaron Rodgers has disrespected the Chicago Bears in multiple years, talking about I own you, I'm going to go out on a limb today. I'm going to say that the Bears finally get that dub over the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and this will be the game that maybe might have Aaron Rodgers eat some humble pie, eat some crow for a little bit, and might have to reevaluate everything that's in Green Bay, right? It's going to be interesting in the offseason for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers and what they're trying to do, because I look in the beginning of the season, things didn't look the way that they hoped it to. I think over the last couple of games, things have gotten better, but it's a little too late. You know, Christian Watson has come along. He's leading the rookies. Leading rookies in touchdown receptions at the moment in just a 3-game span. But even with that, I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's looking at management like, can I trust these people to help me put together the best team on both sides of the ball? And I'm thinking, just looking at Aaron Rodgers, that he wants to move on. Now, anytime we talk about Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking about myself, Ish, anybody that's talking on any one of these shows. A lot of us don't know what the hell's going on inside Aaron Rodgers' head. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is his own person. He does his own things. He thinks, his own way. So a lot of us really cannot get inside of the head of Aaron Rodgers. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward in the offseason because will Aaron Rodgers hold the Packers hostage for a third season in regards of what he wants and the way he wants it? Or will Aaron Rodgers just go ahead and say, hey, let me wipe my hands clean and I'll go ahead and, take on that year option and force myself to get traded or have another team come and, pick me up and we'll go from there. Again, this whole Packers and Aaron Rodgers thing, just when you think that it couldn't get any worse with Brett Favre and the Packers and how that situation played out, we're running it back with Aaron Rodgers, and it's a little more of an interesting concept with Aaron Rodgers than it was with Brett Favre. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Detroit Lions. One of those games where you look at it and just make you want to puke. Just being honest, this is not a pretty game. 2-4-7 teams face off in Detroit. I honestly look at both of these teams. They're literally the AFC and the NFC version of themselves. If you really look at it, besides of course the quarterback position, you have one guy, Jared Goff, who got traded to a situation where Jared Goff is the bridge quarterback. Right? It is what it is. We talked about this multiple times. It is what it is. Of course, Trevor Lawrence is the future quarterback, the franchise quarterback for this team. And it seems as though the Jaguars, at one point in time, in the beginning of the season, looked like, oh, man, maybe this could work out. They went off, on a 5-game losing streak, and they just never been able to recover. Was able to pull off a nice win last week against the Ravens and not have to, of course, go into overtime. Was able to win it in regulation. But with that being said, Jacksonville has just been too up and down for me. Even the Lions, I mean, literally, like I said, I'm talking about both these teams because they are kind of alike. The Lions are coming off of a winning 3 games out of the last 4. Last week, of course, the Lions lost on Thanksgiving against Buffalo, but everybody pretty much expected that. But for those last 3 games, you beat the Giants, beat the Bears, and then also beat the Packers. 2 out of those 3 games are divisional games. And one thing about the Lions, they play with a lot more heart, a lot more grit. I respect the way they play. I respect their coaching staff. I respect what they do. They just continue to fall short yet and yet again when it comes to just those small things that need to be cleaned up. And most of these things are just due to having a coach like Dan Campbell who's still learning. He's not a bad coach. He's not somebody that doesn't know what he's doing. I think that he's literally putting himself out there on the chopping block. And I'm not talking about as in a coach getting fired. I'm talking about letting his players know, look, I'm here for you. I will do any and everything for you, for us to succeed. Now it's about getting the talent and continue to keep getting more talent in Detroit for all of that to happen. I mean, right now you have, Jamal Williams, you have Amon-Ra Brown as well as a wide receiver who's making, tremendous plays. At the beginning of the season, you had DeAndre Swift being the main guy. He has fallen back to the running back 2 position just due to the emergence of Jamal Williams and just the way that he's been playing. This is dating back, not since just training camp of last year. This is dating back since last year, the way that Jamal Williams has been playing and just this attitude. And I think it's rubbing off on the rest of the team to where the Lions, I don't know when we're going to see it. I'll be honest, I don't know when we're going to see a 10-win season for the Lions. I don't know. 10, 11-win game. I don't know. But it takes seasons like this to build upon and learn and be able to learn how to win, learn how to lose. And when you look back 4 or 5 years later, you say, man, I remember when I played with the Lions and we were trash. And one example that I could definitely use for that is Tennessee Titans. When Taylor Lewan first got drafted by the Titans, they were trash. They were trash, and it is what it is. Ever since they have gotten better draft picks, better coaching, better everything, I've heard clips of former Titan players saying, man, I remember when we weren't able to win 4 or 5 games a season. Now look at us now, consecutively winning at least 9 games, going to the playoffs every year. that is something that can happen for the Lions. The real question is for the Lions is, can the consistency happen for them, not just with the players, but with the actual play on the field, the coaching? Can the ownership actually give a damn about what these guys are doing and actually give them some resources to be better? That's really what it comes down to. The fan base is always going to go for the Lions, no matter how trash they are. This is the only organization that hasn't won a game in a season. I'm sorry, that didn't win a game in a season. When 0-16, you still have fans backing them, right? So the fan base is going to be there. We just need the Lions to continue to keep on winning. That's all. All right, let's go ahead and move on because I spent way too much time talking about two teams that need to be getting ready for the draft. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Jets and the Vikings. This is a very interesting matchup. And the Vikings seem as though that they're continuing to keep putting themselves in these situational. I think they're really good situational games for them. You have, of course, your primetime games that you've been on recently with the Cowboys. You have obviously another primetime game last week on Thanksgiving with the Patriots. Was able to redeem yourself after the loss to the Cowboys. I think this is another really, really good test for the Vikings due to the Jets are actually second best in road wins when it comes to them being 4-1 on the road. Whatever it is, whatever home cooking that, or I should say lack of home cooking that Robert Saleh and the Jets are doing over there, they're doing a hell of a job being able to play on the road, because that's one thing that is very hard to do as a young coach, is to prepare your team to play on the road. Anybody that's played sports, I'm not just using football, I'm talking about all sports. If you've played any type of sport, it's easy to play at home. It's easy to play in your backyard and your mama cook you some good food, and you're hanging out with your girl or your guy, and you're able to play a game. But when you go on the road, everything has to be a lot more focused. You're literally with your brothers, and that's all you have. And you get in there and you're able to shut up a crowd because, of course, you're on the road. That's a beautiful feeling. So with that being said, I think this game is going to be a lot more interesting than people expect it to be. Let me go ahead and show the picks. Ish and I do have the Vikings winning this game at the moment. The Vikings are a 3-point favorite at home. I think it is going to be that close. That wouldn't surprise me at all. This is within a 5-point game. What does it really come down to? What this game really comes down to, and I don't know if anybody paid attention last week when the Jets took on the Bears. Mike White was balling. I understand it's the Bears. I'll be the first to say, hey, it's the Bears. Might not need to put too much stock in that, but it's still an NFL defense. And Mike White, this isn't his first time going out there and just putting up insane numbers. He's done this before when he first came in last year as a rookie to play as well. So for him as a quarterback, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that situation and see how that all plays out over there. Let's get to the comment section right quick. One that says, I hate how things are going for the Lions. They have talent everywhere, but can never get better. And of course, he's just talking about the last topic that we talked about with the Lions, and I 1,000,000% agree. At this point, I feel like some people might be fixing games. I'm just being completely honest. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Lions over there, but I'll leave it alone. One also says Jets going with 3 running backs for today. Vikings better have that run defense ready because they come in today. And also he says Sauce versus JJ is going to be a show. And if you don't know what he's talking about, of course, that first round draft pick, Mr. Sauce Gardner, going against Mr. Justin Jefferson on the outside over there. That will definitely be a show within the show itself. I'll be honest with you. Besides this whole situation, I'm very disappointed in my boy Ish's pick. Where Ish at? I need Ish, especially on Tuesday when I see him. I'm gonna talk to him because he was so down on Mr. Captain Kirk. He don't want to give Captain Kirk no love. But now say you want to pick Captain Kirk. Okay, I see you. I see you though, Ish. We're gonna talk about that on Tuesday. He was talking very highly about Sauce Gardner. He was talking very highly about how he's generational talent, which he probably is. But you're not gonna put on for the Jets though, is? Hmm? All right. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. Don't worry about it. But like I said, it really comes down to Mike White, not Kirk Cousins, not JJ. It comes down to Mike White and how well can he play, and can he help the Jets win the game, or can he help the Jets lose the game? That's really what it comes down to. All right, let's get to the NFC beast at the moment. Went from the NFC least last year to probably being the best division in the NFL at the moment. The Commanders take on the G men, and both of these teams, I would say, both of these teams are surprising to everybody, right? I mean, nobody expected the Giants to be where they're at, right? And then the Commanders is like, maybe some people expected you to be here, but the way you start out the season, nobody expected you to even have this many wins on the season at the moment. But you definitely have an opportunity, not just win the division. I'm sorry, not just go to the playoffs, but maybe even still win the division. Season's not over yet, everybody. Right? The Eagles could still lose some more games. The division is not over yet at all. It's highly doubtful, but I'm saying it's not over at all. The Commanders go into MetLife Stadium as a 2.5 point favorite, which is surprising to me just because of just all of the hoopla that goes within that organization from last week, of course, with the whole statue situation. Um, the Commanders are like the East Coast version of the Raiders, right? Everything that goes wrong for them, they find that the football team itself actually finds a way to move past it and use it as fuel to win them games. It's crazy when you think about it, but that's just how this team operates. Great thing that they actually have a head coach who is a damn good head coach, Ron Rivera, who's able to steady the ship and not have to worry about the outside noise. Um, the main thing about this situation is that Chase Young still hasn't returned yet from his injury. He is questionable for this game. If Chase was still playing and playing at a high level, I would understand why my boy Ish would be picking the Commanders. But like I said earlier, when it comes to the Vikings and Jets game, Ish, I'm gonna need to talk to you, sir. Well, are you okay? Because you've been speaking so highly on Danny Dimes and how he's your boy and he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you're not picking him to beat the Commanders at home. What is going on? I need help understanding this. And I know Ish isn't watching right now. I know he's busy. But on Tuesday, I'm gonna need him to explain, especially if the Giants go out and win this game. I just need him when we get back on the show on Tuesday for everybody listening. If you go in and tune in back to us on Tuesday, I just need Ish to apologize to Danny Dimes. So when Danny Dimes win this game for him, and also winning for myself because I picked him, I'm gonna need Ishmael to apologize to his boy Daniel Jones. So Danny, I don't know what Ish is doing over here. He doesn't believe you anymore. I've always believed. I've always believed you could throw the wooden nickels. Okay, that's why I'm picking you. I'm picking you. Throw wooden nickels. Don't mess the game up. Get in here, get out, and we'll keep it moving. All right, let's go ahead and move on to. And as always, go ahead and check out Imperial King's Barbershop and ask for Jason so you can go ahead and get you a nice little haircut like your boy did just a couple of days ago at Imperial King's Barbershop, new location on 9218 FM5, FM 1960. Go ahead and give them a call at 346-355-8255 if you want to go ahead, get that nice little fade in for the weekend and go ahead and get ready for the work week. Like your boy, I have to get, chopped up and screwed, how that go. But anyways, let's get to our Don't Be Upset picks for the week as well. And some of these picks, of course, we'll talk about very, very shortly. Me, obviously, I have the Titans over the Eagles. I've actually have called this game since week 9 when the Eagles were still undefeated at that time. I said the Titans will go into Philly and win that game. Everybody laughed at me, and I hope y'all continue to keep laughing at me because once the Titans pull off this win, he who laughs first, laughs last. last. So Titans will go into Philadelphia, take care of business, and we'll get into that game in a little bit. Ish has the Chargers over the Raiders. Um, Interesting pick. They definitely understand why he would pick it because obviously the Raiders like to find ways to lose games they're not supposed to. Um, but I'm more surprised that he would pick Justin Herbert because he's a non-believer of Mr. Herbie. So I think this week 13 is you know how 13 is deemed as like a Friday the 13th is a scary number. I think Ish is trying to get me off my game. He's going with the opposite that I wouldn't expect him to go with. So I think he's messing with me. So we'll talk about it on Tuesday. He's doing these things on purpose. He likes to. It's a mental game around here. Feel me? It's his chess, not checkers. I know what he's doing. He ain't gonna fool me though. I know what he's doing. And as well, we'll get to if I'm a betting man. As always, our prize pick promo code is PR-JV A61PN. At the moment, I do have Deshaun Watson under 247.5 passing yards. The only reason why I have that, and it's not because he's trash, it's mainly because if you saw him in the preseason before the season started, he still looked pretty rusty. As a guy that hasn't played football in over a year, he's going to be rusty, even though that Texans team is not the greatest. The defensive side of the ball is actually pretty decent. They have a couple pieces on there. This is a fill-out game for him. There's going to be a lot of emotions going on. There's going to be a lot of hoopla going on inside the stadium, outside the stadium. I don't think it's a bad thing that he throws under 247. I think this is going to be a game managing type of game. Get back into your flow. Give the ball to Chubb, of course. Get you some sound throws. Get you more comfortable in the game, and he probably will finish the game with like 194, 225, something like that. That's just what I think. If he goes over 250 and throw for 300, 350 yards, I would love to see that. I would love to see him smash the hell out of Texans this weekend. But reality, I think he throws under 247. All right, also have Jared Goff throwing over 1.5 touchdown passes. Um, the Jaguars defensively have just been not what I wanted them to be. They've been very up and down, have not been sustainable. I think Jared Goff takes this game personally, and when it comes to making sure that people still know that Jared Goff can ball. Okay, Jared Goff I think has a very very good opportunity this week to throw for at least 2 touchdowns. Who knows, maybe even three, to make sure that he's able to cover this pick for me. And again, Jared Goff, I think he's been put in a situation where it's just very hard to take control of. I think he's done a great job, and I think he has an opportunity to go elsewhere and continue to be a decent quarterback for another team. But with the Lions, which is probably an off, they look into the quarterback position this upcoming draft. All right, former Lions teammate for Jared Goff, T.J. Hawkinson. I have him over 5 receptions with the Vikings today. Another reason why is the same reason that Mr. Fraction Walnut brought up about Sauce Gardner against Justin Jefferson. I actually was going to pick Justin Jefferson over 6 catches, but Sauce Gardner has been putting the wide receivers that he's been covering this season, he's been putting them in a blender. He's been able to contain them for the most part. I'm not saying Justin Jefferson can't get 6 catches off him, but going to be some very earned 6 catches. There's going to be a lot of movement to make sure he gets 6 catches. And for T.J. Hawkinson, they've been using him as a safety blanket for Captain Kirk, and I think that is a better possibility for T.J. Hawkinson to get over 5 catches than it is for Justin Jefferson to get over 6. And I also have the Browns defense under 3 sacks. Again, I think the Browns defense it's good, but Kyle Allen actually I think played a very good game last week, throwing the ball against the Dolphins. And even with that good of a defense, they still weren't even able to get 3 sacks on him. I think Kyle Allen is more of a mobile quarterback than people would think that he is. And I think he will escape danger to where the Browns are not able to get him on the ground 3 times. If they're able to get him on the ground more than 3 times, then I just need to stop doing these prize picks. I'm just letting y'all know right now, because this is just blasphemy. It needs to stop. I don't understand why prize picks keep biting me in the ass. But yeah, if the Browns get more than 3 sacks, I'm done. I'm done for this season. I'm not doing it. I'm done. I'm not doing it no more. All right, let's move on to the Titans and the Eagles. Of course, if you all remember our first episode before the season started, we picked our Super Bowl contending teams, and Ish had the Eagles winning the Super Bowl for this upcoming season. At the time, I think a lot of us laughed at him. I know I did, because I was like, what the hell are you doing? But week 13, he's looking like a genius and could definitely be there. The Eagles could definitely represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But before they do that, they will have to take on the Tennessee Titans. And of course, the storyline within the storyline is A.J. Brown facing off against his former team. The Tennessee Titans, of course, traded A.J. Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles in the offseason. And mainly it was just due to money. Came down to the money aspect of everything. A.J. Brown saw all his other counterpart wide receivers in his draft class get their paydays. And A.J. Brown felt as though that maybe he could do the same thing with Tennessee when it comes to putting them in a chokehold to have to pay him. And that's just not how the Tennessee Titans run things with their organization. So they were able to find a trade partner with the Eagles, and Tennessee Titans got their picks, and the Eagles got their man. Right now, in the beginning part of this trade, it looks like the Eagles won this trade so far. Obviously, we'll have to see how these picks turn out for the Tennessee Titans, but the Eagles got what they wanted, which is a number 1 receiver to help Justin Hurts. A.J. Brown has been healthy throughout the season. He has not been hurt. And if the Eagles are able to win the Super Bowl in year 1 with A.J. Brown, they would have won this trade. That's just, again, for the time being, unless these picks turn into franchise guys for the next 10 plus years for the Titans, and you're able to win Super Bowls as well too. And then we'll recap that trade. But again, the storyline is how much of this A.J. Brown, you miss me, Tennessee, we don't miss you. How much is this going to affect the game within itself? A.J. Brown has already talked about how he knows how the secondary of the Titans play. So he's kind of tipping some of his wide receivers off on, hey, if they line up like this, watch out for this. I wish Ish was here because we could talk about this a little more in depth. But if you are somebody that doesn't play football or don't know the ins and out, yes, especially once you get into the NFL or even in college, where you'll have some people go from one school to another, or one organization to another, and they play with an organization for a year, 2 years, or even just a month, and they know certain calls that on an offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, they will say, and you're able to, hey, that's an audible. That's an audible. They're going to the left. They're going to the left. That's something that's the game, the chess match within the chess match that, okay, you might know that, but guess what? Just for this week, we changed that same call sign that you think that you know. Instead of us going to the left, guess where we're going? We're going to the right now. So then that's just the first quarter. So then you go into the third quarter, run the exact same play. We do the exact same thing. They think, okay, now they think that we think we're going to the left, but we're really going to go. We really going to think that they're going to go to the right, but we're really going to go back to the left because we already had this play set up this way to make sure that you don't know what's going on. So there are audibles within the audibles to where, look, A.J. Brown is going to have his 100 yards. He's going to have his 8 catches. He's going to get his 100 yards. And what it really comes down to is, can the Titans limit the Eagles on what they can get away with? You have weapons all over the field, from wide receivers to running backs. Can the Titans keep everything in front of them and make sure that they don't get too many explosion plays to have to make Ryan Tannehill throw the ball to win the game in that way. Titans want to play a certain way. If the Eagles get them out of that way, it's going to be very hard for the Titans to win this game. As you can see, Ish has the Eagles winning this game. I have the Titans. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, go ahead and check that game out. That's like I said, that's going to be an interesting one. That's going to be an interesting one. All right, not too much to talk about in this game. The Broncos and the Ravens. The only thing I will say though, mainly about this game, is that this game needs to be a get right game for Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. The reason why I say is because over the last couple of games, they have pretty much just been limping into these last couple of games and winning and also losing games you're probably not supposed to. So last week, of course, you lost to Jacksonville, but even the games before that, you were a 13-point favorite against Carolina. You only won the game by 10, and you only put up 13 points. You beat the Saints by 14, and then you also beat the Bucks by 5. Again, a win's a win, so nobody's going to complain about that. It's just the way that the Ravens have been winning. And then also with the every week asking about Lamar in regards to this contract and this, that, and the third. I just hope it doesn't become a distraction. That's what I'm really looking at. I really just don't hope it becomes a distraction for Lamar and this Baltimore team, because they have the talent to maybe make a run. But if you look around the rest of the AFC, they just don't have the offensive. I feel like they don't have the wide receiver offensive weapons to compete with the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, the Joey Burrows and the Bengals, or even a team like, let's go with the AFC. Even on the AFC West, when it comes to the Chargers, they're not a better team. I don't think the Chargers are a better team, but their offensive makeup, it allows them to put points on that board, in the words of T.I., expeditiously. So with that being said, we have the Ravens winning. They are a 9.5-point favorite. They are at home. Win this game. I want to see the scoreboard at least 25 to 10. I need to see the scoreboard at least 25 to 10 from the Ravens for me to look at them and say, you know what, maybe they have a chance in the AFC to maybe make some noise in the playoffs. Because right now they are one and done. They are one and done. They are not what they expected them to be moving forward for this season. And it's a little too late in the season for people to say, hey, go ahead and come on, let's get it together. You better get it together now, or just saying, like I said, if you want to go to playoffs and lose in the first round every year, that's on y'all. I don't want to do that. Speaking of teams going to the playoffs every year and losing the first round, mainly for the Texans. Texans, they don't go every year, but when they do, they'll lose in the first round. Of course, this game probably would be one of those games where we probably don't want to look at, just due to both of these teams, the Browns and the Texans. But if anybody that knows anything, you all know this is Deshaun Watson's return, not just back to Houston, but return to football due to his 11-week suspension. And it's time for Watson to of course, show his talents back once again. I think this will be a game that it's not going to live up to the hype. I know everybody's expecting a certain thing to happen, either Watson to throw for 400 yards or the Texans to sack Watson, 7 times, because everybody in Houston hate Watson. But I don't think we're going to get any of that. I think we're going to get one of those, I wouldn't say boring, mundane games, but what they're going to do in the first half is try to limit the amount of crowd noise. I'm talking about on the Brown side, and just try to get the game flowing in a way that so when the second half gets here, Watson is able to relax, play some football, and let's go finish out the second half of this game and win this game. The Browns are going to win this game. That's not the problem. The real problem is that it's trying to figure out and trying to evaluate Deshaun Watson in this emotional type of game. Because unfortunately he's not going to stop getting some of these silly questions until the season is over with. So I'm gonna leave it at this. And Ish and I will talk about this on Tuesday. And for my people that are listening in, for the women that's going to be there watching Deshaun Watson play, the accusers that feel as though that Watson is this horrible man. Why are you at the game watching him if he's such a horrible man? I understand you want to make a statement. I understand it's not fair for people that are been sexually abused to not to have their voices silenced. I'm not saying that at all. But if you already went to court not once but twice and everything has been dismissed, isn't it at a point? Aren't we getting to a point where we're causing some workplace harassment? You showing up in my workplace to try to distract me from doing my job? Let's think about that. Let's think about that. Just saying. All right, let's go ahead and move on. The Seahawks and the Rams. Seahawks, of course, as everybody expected, the Seahawks are a better team than the Rams at this point in time in the NFL season. Everybody expected this, right? The Seahawks are 6-5 at the moment, and the Rams are 3-8. Of course, the biggest news coming out of Rams camp is the multiple injuries to multiple superstars on that team, from Aaron Donald to, of course, Matt Stafford, to, of course, Cooper Kupp being put on IR, pretty much ending his season, and now Matt Stafford being put on IR as well to pretty much end his season. He will be eligible to return week 17, but by that point, most likely he won't be starting once again. They'll probably hand the keys over to the backup, and he'll finish off the season. But what a year. What a year for the Rams to not build on that Super Bowl success from the year prior. I know we say it all the time in the NFL. It's true. I mean, because history will continue to prove this right. If you are in a Super Bowl, no matter if you are the winner or the loser, it is just hard to get back. The Bengals are obviously doing a better job at it this season than the Rams are, but it's just hard to get back. I did have them going back to back like an idiot. I'll be the first one to say, look, I'm an idiot for picking the Rams to go back and back, but they had the talent in place. I thought they would have the motivation as well, to try for Matt Stafford to try to, solidify himself as a Hall of Famer. I think that question is still in place. Is Matt Stafford still a Hall of Famer? I think that is still a question that we can still ask. I thought Aaron Donald wanted to put another ring on his resume to make sure that, he's considered one of, if not the greatest defensive tackle of all time. And for the rest of the crew, you bring in Bobby Wagner. You have Jalen Ramsey still there. I just expected better. In the beginning part of the season, you had this little rift within the running back group from Cam Akers, and he released Henderson. Look, it's some stuff going on in LA that we really don't know what's going on, but sooner or later it's going to come out. And once it comes out, it's going to be that, that makes a lot of sense. Because if you look at coaches like, and I'm using these three coaches because they're just so interconnected with one another: Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and Mike McDaniels, right? Sean McVay is looked at as the boy wonder. He's coaching in LA. He's the good-looking blonde hair guy, right? He finally won a Super Bowl last year, but if you look at years prior, he's always come up short. Maybe got to the team to the playoffs here and there, but he always came up short. Kyle Shanahan, he's only really had maybe one bad season. Other than that, he's continued to always get the 49ers in place to be able to be in the playoffs, NFC Conference Championship game, or the Super Bowl. And then, of course, you have Mike McDaniels doing what he's doing with the Dolphins, and we'll have to have more years of resume for us to really talk about what he's doing with the Dolphins. But my opinion, I think Kyle Shanahan is a better head coach than Sean McVay. That's just my opinion. I think there are too many egos and too much Hollywood brightness that goes on in LA that Sean McVay doesn't know how to manage. My opinion. I think with Kyle Shanahan, he has a system in place. He has the personnel in place to be able to, and he has the leaders. He has the right leaders in place to be able to nip certain things in the bud and make sure that they know who the chief is, and everybody else are the Indians. Everybody is following behind Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes I feel like with the Rams, yeah, it might be McVay at the beginning of this line, but you have Jalen Ramsey out here popping out. You got Aaron Donald out here doing this thing. Ain't nobody gonna tell Aaron Donald to shut the hell up, right? So it's interesting what's going on in LA. First, I want to ask AD99 done after this year. It's a good question. It's a good question, Fracture. I don't know. The reason why I don't know is because I just want to know what does Aaron Donald have in place after football? If he has his stuff mapped out in a way that he gonna get money till he's dead, hey, you can go ahead and retire. But unfortunately, with you not being a quarterback, I'm talking about Aaron Donald, or even a wide receiver, it's harder for you, Aaron Donald, to sustain certain things compared to other position players. That's all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. He also said should have hung him up, but that bag was calling, and also Fracture One says facts. Kyle need to get back to overcome the 28-3 crumble. Now, I understand. Look, he was the offensive coordinator for that situation. I got that, but he wasn't the head coach. That was Dan Quinn. At the end of the day, Dan Quinn will always be remembered for that, not Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan will be somebody that will be swept under the rug because a lot of people probably have forgotten that he was the offensive coordinator. But as the 49ers head coach, and we're going ahead and segue right into this game, he's been able to be a pretty damn good coach for what they needed in that organization. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some of these better games. Second part of the day, we have the teacher facing the student today here in San Francisco. Mike McDaniels takes on, of course, his mentor, Kyle Shanahan in Santa Clara. I have the Dolphins winning this game, mainly because I think this is a really, really good test for the Dolphins. We talk about this all the time when it comes to the 49ers being a better team in the second half of the season. The 49ers getting ramped up for their playoff run. And I will a million percent agree. What's surprised me at all, the 49ers win this game. But I think this is a really, 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 really good measuring stick for the Dolphins to travel from Miami to San Francisco. Well, you know how it is when you have teams going from East Coast to West Coast and vice versa, having to adjust and play in that environment. I think the Dolphins find a way to win this game, and we'll put the rest of the NFL on notice that maybe it's not the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East that we have to worry about, because I've said it since week one in the NFL season, the AFC East is for the Buffalo Bills to lose. And if the Dolphins can find a way to not just win this game, but also win the division, everybody's gonna have to start taking the Dolphins a lot more seriously than we thought, because middle of the season we all thought the AFC was gonna run through Buffalo or even maybe Kansas City. Could it maybe run through Miami? Because again, if the Dolphins are able to win this game, you now have 9 wins on the season. I mean, again, why not? This is a team and a sport that just last year we saw the Buffalo. I can't get my teams right. We saw the Cincinnati Bengals make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and nobody expected them to do that at all, right? So why not the Miami Dolphins? They have the pieces in place. You added both on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball to make these type of runs. Why not? Fracture One says, I would say this is a bigger game for the 49ers to see where they truly stand in the Super Bowl convo. And you're not wrong at all, Fracture One. I'm not even going to deny what you're saying, because you're 1,000% correct as well, too. But I think it's also on. I think it's on both sides. It's on both sides. It's a big game for both teams. But I think it's more of a big game for the Dolphins because they still haven't proven us anything yet. At least Kyle Shanahan has a Super Bowl on his resume. At least we know what Jimmy G, is going to bring, right? At least we know the makeup of this 49 team. Like, at least we know that we have more faith in this 49 team to get through the NFC to make the Super Bowl compared to the Dolphins. And that's how I look at both of these teams, to where some people still don't believe in the Dolphins. I think more people believe in the 49ers making a run than the Dolphins. That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like this game is more important to the Dolphins than it is for the 49ers. But I 1,000% agree with you as well, Fracture, when it comes to watch out for the 49ers. This is a game that's a good measuring stick for them as well. All right, Chiefs and Bengals. Another game where I'm probably gonna be flipping the channel back and forth at that 3:00 to watch some of these games, because this is another rematch of a conference championship game that we had last season. The last two matchups that the Bengals have played against the Chiefs, the Bengals have gotten their number. This situation kind of reminded me of the Titans and the Bengals matching up with one another. Could the Bengals be the Chiefs boogeyman, the most recent boogeyman? I ain't talking about of all time, the most recent boogeyman, to where the Chiefs can beat everybody, but maybe they just keep running into trouble with these Bengals and these Bengal cats. These Bayou Bengals. My bad. These Bayou Bengals out here finding ways to be able to win some of these games and just continue on making the legend of Joe Burrow. I mean, this guy continues to keep on just building his legacy of being Joe Cool. If he's able to win this game here in Cincy, and then also, who knows, maybe they meet up again. Maybe it's Cincy and Buffalo, who knows? But if he's able to make another run to Super Bowl once again, y'all gonna have to start disrespecting Joe Burrow. And this is the season. Look, even though they've revamped the line and made the line better, the line is still not good. The line is just coming together to make sure that Joey Burrow is not on the ground. But overall, the line can still get better. And if that's the case, I know we keep saying, oh, watch out for the Chiefs and the Chargers and then this team and that team in the AFC. The Bengals might be around longer than we thought if they continue to keep on adding more pieces. If those weapons are able to continue to keep on exploding, like Frank, when I'm talking about Chase going for 266, if they're able to continue to have this core, keep adding it, there will be one of the teams in the AFC to beat over the next 5 more years. They aren't going anywhere. Fractal asks, is Chase going for 266 again? Come on. No, they're not. No, not going to happen. Hell of a game when he did that, but no, it's not going to happen once again. 266. Let's be realistic. X has the Bengals. Ish has the Chiefs. Obviously, he got to go with his team. I'm not mad at him for that. I'm just a little more surprised that the Chiefs are coming in as a 2-point favorite. I understand they've won 9 games already. After this win, if they do get this win, they'll have 10 wins on their resume. But I thought this game would be like maybe a 1-point favor, or even an even line, just due to how these teams play so close to one another. Vegas is going to get some money out of us, so they're going to find a way to make one of these teams the favorite. But I can't wait to recap that game on Tuesday, because that could be just another one of those classic matchups that it'll be the next generation of Manning and Brady with those two moving forward. All right, Chargers and the Raiders. Another one of those games where I got to talk to Ish about on Tuesday, because why are you going with my boy Justin Herbie? Why are you picking Herbie? Ish, please tell me. Don't be messing with my boy Herbie. And I know people probably questioning me, why are you picking the Raiders? You know what? I don't know. I'm supposed to be picking Justin Herbert and the Raiders. I'm sorry, and the Chargers as well too. I agree, but I don't know why I am picking the Raiders, only because, like I said with the Commanders earlier in this show, the Raiders and the Commanders, they just both know how to play when things aren't going their way. I don't get it. When things are not going their way for the Raiders, they find ways to win games. Um, you are 4-7 at the moment, so obviously the playoffs are definitely out of range, and nobody's worried about that. But last two games, you went into overtime against the Seahawks and the Broncos, and were able to come out victorious from those. Could this game be the third overtime game for the Raiders? Could be, definitely. I wouldn't surprise me at all. They definitely go into overtime for this game and kick a game-winning field goal to cover the spread and be on a 3-game winning streak. And who knows, maybe they can finish off the season over 500 and go on a run. I honestly doubt it. But they're in a really, really sticky situation to be in that organization because on the outside looking in, it seems a lot of people want to go ahead and move on from Josh McDaniels. And maybe even on the inside, a lot of people want to move on from Josh McDaniels, but they don't have the capital to be able to do that. And also, what coaches want to come into this dumpster fire of a team and really try to get it back on tracks? You don't know what you're going to do with Derek Carr. I mean, draft projections right now are having the Raiders picking a quarterback in the first round. So are y'all moving on from Derek Carr? You have pieces in play. You have obviously one of the best wide receivers in the league. You have Darren Waller. I mean, you have some pieces in place on the offensive side of the ball. You bring in an offensive head coach guru like Josh McDaniels, and it just has not been good this year. So I'm just trying to figure out for the Raiders, like, what are y'all trying to accomplish for not just next year, but for this organization for the next 3 to 5 years? And what is the direction you're trying to go in? So see what happens with that. Colts, Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Let's just be real. This the Jeff Saturday magic is starting to wear off a little bit. They are 1-2 at the moment with Jeff Saturday at the helm. I do not see Jeff Saturday putting a game plan together to beat the Cowboys. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. If they do fall to 1-3 with Jeff Saturday, it's more of what I said in the beginning when it comes to this positional hire was just no good from the beginning. It was a lose-lose situation. If you go 1-7, it's a bad look. If you go 7-1, it's a bad look. I'm just being honest. So it's really not too much to talk about. The Cowboys should win this game by at least 2 touchdowns. If y'all do anything on Sunday night, you might as well continue to keep doing it and not watch this game because there's not going to be really too much to really watch unless the Colts find some way to make it competitive and have Cowboy fans worrying about losing to the Colts. Other than that, there ain't nothing to watch really tonight. Fracture One also says, you think Josh wants Carr gone? I don't see how they get better at that spot. But being honest with you, Fracture, I don't know what anybody in Las Vegas wants right now because it seems as though the owner is very fond of Carr and they have a relationship together. And I don't know if he trusts Josh McDaniels in that way to say, hey, I'll keep you and let go of Carr. But also, I think, Mark Davis understands and realizes that I have an aging quarterback. And, sooner or later, we'll have to move on. Like, we can't keep repeating the same thing year in and year out. That's why I'm saying I don't know. Like I know that nobody wants to hear that answer. I understand that, but I don't know what the Raiders are trying to do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm gonna call. After I get off the show, I'm gonna call one of my good friends. He's a Raider insider. I'm gonna call one of my good friends so I can get some more insight on what's going on because I really don't know. I don't know, but I will have an answer for y'all on Tuesday because I'm a little perplexed. Fracture One also says, please, Cowboys, beat them so the Texans don't hire McCown. Yeah, the Texans and McCown. That's hilarious. I don't understand that. All right, let's finish it off with Monday Night Football game. Saints and the Buccaneers. Another primetime game that's probably going to be a snooze fest. No disrespect to my beautiful wife. I know she loves her Saints, but it's just what it is right now. Buccaneers should win this game. Mr. Thomas Brady should be able to add another win to his crappy season. Winning that game will finally put them back to 500, and of course, will give them an opportunity to win the NFC South, which right now doesn't even seem like that's of a big deal, being barely 500 right now in the NFC South. But it gives you an opportunity to go to playoffs and also host a playoff game. And that's all Mr. Brady needs to be able to maybe make a run in the NFC. I don't see it happening. I don't see the Buccaneers going to the NFC Championship game or even the Super Bowl. But maybe Brady might have one more hurrah before he gets up out of here. Again, not too much to talk about for Monday Night Football. Should be what it is when it comes to the Buccaneers. They should take care of business. If they don't, then we'll get the point and laugh and hee ha ha, and then we get to see all these memes about Tom Brady and his wife and kids leaving him. So at the end of the day, everybody wins right, on either on TV or on social media, and we'll go from there. So as always, this was our Week 13 preview show. The NFL season. We will be back on Tuesday to recap Week 13 and all of the fun stuff that happened in this week or this Sunday, and also, of course, this upcoming Monday. So with that being said, we'll see y'all on Tuesday. XtalknIsh. I know my boy Ish will be back on Tuesday, so we appreciate y'all for joining as always. See you on Tuesday.